This is Courage Barbell, and I'm Chad Ikes. I just got done watching the Thomas Sowell documentary on YouTube, which I highly recommend. It's free. It's an hour long. I'm a huge fan of Thomas Sowell. I've been accused before of being all about physical strength, which is completely and utterly not true. I'm a fan of all types of strength. Intellect being a very big one of those strengths. I wish I was as smart as Thomas Sowell. But watching this documentary, I was again surprised by how much life and strength training imitate each other, and how the rules to be successful cross all these different levels of life and strength training. There was a quote in there by Thomas Sowell, and I wrote it down, so I'm going to read it to you guys with my really horrible handwriting. Quote, "Some things are believed because they are demonstrously true. Many other things are believed simply because they have been asserted repeatedly." End quote. Thomas Sowell. Wow, like this is so true across the board. And as soon as I read it, I did a little post on my Instagram, and that's why now I'm here now on the video, because it kept rolling around in my head. And I'm like, it's like 8 o'clock. I don't care. I should go shoot a video right now. So this is on the fly, off the cuff kind of thing. One of the other things that he talked about in there, one of the interviewers asked him why he stopped believing in Marxism. And his answer was facts. And he's right. He kind of went on about how the socialist idea and Marxist ideas, like, sure, on paper they may seem wonderful. I would even say fairy tale-ish, like, ooh, hey, everybody gets everything they want. But in reality, this stuff doesn't add up. And it's the facts that prove all that. And another guy I look up to, Ben Shapiro, is famous for saying, facts don't care about your feelings. And they don't. I love that saying too. And again, this transfers into strength training. I sometimes get completely tired of commercial gyms. Especially if I'm traveling and I have to go to a box gym. It's horrible. I almost hate going in there because of I see all these stupid things and stupid theories that just keep getting repeated when there's way new information out there. There's way better styles of training. There's proper technique, and all this stuff just gets pushed to the side. And when you try to explain to people, hey, listen, here is this, and even if you're studying one of the study guys, and there are some great guys in lifting that really focus on the studies and the facts and the results. Give me a second. Lost my train of thought. Even if you are one of those guys, like, those are the guys that take the emotions out of it. And that's you can't have the emotion in lifting. So, there's these guys that have the facts, and they'll explain in facts and show the studies. This is why we switch. This is why we don't do that anymore. And the people still won't listen. Like, they're so set in their mind, and they're basing what they think only off of repeated information. They're never stopping to go, wait a minute, does that even make sense? Like, what proof is there of that? Just because everyone did it forever doesn't mean anything. And then I go back to, I had a client who recently stopped training with me, and it was kind of back when we started training, which wasn't that long either, she would get frustrated that we weren't doing training like she normally trains. And she would quickly go, well, I need to squat 3 days a week. That's how I get stronger. And I'm like, okay, so that's like, how do you know that? Well, that's the way I've always trained. Okay, well then why are you training with me? Like, why did you even come to me? If what you were doing was working, why are you here? It doesn't make sense. Like, so obviously you're here because it didn't work. Now you think when you go back it's going to work, even though it didn't work before? Like this is emotions. This is your emotions taking over and allowing you to believe shit that's just not true because you want to believe it, because you want to be in the gym every day, because you've convinced yourself that if you're not beating the snot out of yourself and training every single day as hard as you can, you're not going to get strong. It's emotions, you know, and people get set in their emotional beliefs. They get set in what makes them feel good. And we all know getting strong isn't about feeling good. It's about putting in the work and staying consistent. And over time, a long period of time, you're going to reach your goals. So, if you don't know my history, you know, go back and watch some of the old videos. But basically, I didn't start powerlifting. Like, my first bench meet was at 27. My first 3-lift meet was at 29. I lifted my whole life for sports. And then even when the big chunk I had where I wasn't competing in any sports, I still lifted, mostly because I love lifting. And it was a way for me to deal with life and keep things in check and keep my anger in check. And I liked going to the gym and just pushing myself as hard as I could. It was a daily challenge for me that I enjoyed. When I started powerlifting, I realized that I was nowhere near where I wanted to be. My first meet, I totaled 1,700 at like 270. And I had a long way to go to be where I wanted to be. Long way to go. And I knew that I wasn't getting there very fast. And then I started training at a local gym and that had a lot of lifters, and I'm looking around and I'm listening to them and I'm starting to train like them, and I'm like, okay, well this, like, why aren't there more like higher level lifters in here? If they're all training like this, what's up with that? And then, you know, I started having some of my ideas of my own, but I just kept thinking, but nobody's training like this. Like, what do I know about this? You know, I was an athlete. I don't know about powerlifting. And I didn't trust some of my ideas. But I did know, I was smart enough to know that, okay, you don't know enough, Chad. You're trying to learn from people that aren't anywhere near where you want to be. Yeah, they're a little better than you, but they've trained like way longer than you, and you're not that far behind. This is not a logical concept to be following. That's when I found Dave, an elite. Went to my first seminar. Dave beat up my technique, completely changed my training. But what was funny is that, sorry guys, my battery's low. I'm hitting my thing right there. What's funny is that a lot of the ideas and concepts he was showing, I'm like, oh man, like I've been thinking about that. And some of them I didn't know how to put it into the way they had developed it, but like accommodating resistance, I was already thinking about it. I had a background in physical therapy. I knew about bands, and I was like, man, this seems like it makes sense. You know, when I trained for throwing in college, you know, we trained explosively all the time. It wasn't about like grinding out reps. And I knew with the linear periodization stuff that I was doing, it was like I felt like I was getting slower and less explosive. And in my mind, I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense, because how am I going to be better with a max effort weight if I'm slower and less explosive? But again, I looked around and went, well, nobody else is doing this. Maybe I'm wrong. And so all these concepts started coming around, and like one of the biggest lessons I took from that was like, holy shit, Chad, like, stop paying attention to people that don't know and stop listening to your emotions that are going, oh, Chad, everyone else is doing this. You're wrong. Like, you can't be right. Everyone else is doing this. And screw everyone else. Listen to yourself and then find the facts, which is kind of what I did. I just went about it in a different way. I researched who I wanted to learn from because I knew that if I'm going to learn something and give them my potential, I want to know that they know what they're talking about. So I did, and Dave was the guy that I chose. And, even when I came back, a lot of guys, when I started building my team, when I kind of had it down and thought I could start coaching people just as building my own team to coach other guys so they knew to help me and in turn, like, I ran across so many people that are like, well, this is new, I don't know. And I'm like, here, look at these lifters. Look at these people. Here's the people that have been doing this, the people that developed this. Like, here's the facts right here. These people are all successful. And but people still, no, that's too weird. That's too different. No, I like training the way I train. Yeah? Do you like kicking ass in the meat? Because that's what I like. And it turned out I did kick ass in the meat. Of all the people in that first seminar I went to, I don't think any of them even got close to the level I reached. Granted, I was at the highest level, putting up some of the best numbers in the world. But still, and then I would go to the meets and be like, hey, you guys aren't training like Dave showed you? Oh, no, I didn't like it. It didn't work. Well, you didn't like it. Who gives a shit if you like it or not? And it didn't work. Like, how long did you give it a try? Like, it's working awesome. Everyone I'm helping it is all doing kicking ass. They let their emotions get in the way. Like Ben Shapiro is famous for saying, facts don't care about your feelings. And this transfers across the board. Life, powerlifting, and everything in between. But I see it too much. People freak out about how they feel. I mean, you didn't think there wasn't times when I started with Dave or started training using Dave's techniques where I went, God, dude, this sucks, man. I was lifting heavy and now I'm lifting shit because my posterior chain's weak as hell. Like, man, dude, is this the right thing? Chad, why did you pick Dave? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I picked him because of all these reasons. All right, shut the fuck up and get back to work. Get rid. Don't pay attention to those feelings. Pay attention to the facts. And I'm not even for me powerlifting. I'm a little bit of like I love these some of the guys that are out there that are very scientific and they do a lot of research and they do a lot of studies and the guys that graph everything out. I think that stuff's cool as hell. I'm a little more blue collar, and I still. If I'm looking at studies or reading studies of different training styles that they tested and stuff, I'm like, wait a minute, who were the people in this session? Were these the people that have great genetics? Or were they the people like me who like can't sleep and their recovery sucks and they have mediocre genetics? Because it's going to be different depending on who you're doing all these studies on. So I think I'm not completely sold on bam, 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 bam with the facts. And, I've been in rooms with 20 of the top, strongest, biggest guys in the world. And we all train differently, and we all go up and put up insane numbers. So I don't think the facts are quite as pinpointable as some other studies, but you can still pay attention to the facts. I mean, if you're doing something that no world champion has ever done, either you just came up with the newest, best shit ever and you should end up being one of the best in the world, or you're kind of off. And if you're stuck in the way you used to train, or you're training because, well, I'd like to train this way. If you like to train that way, if you tell me I like to train this way, and that's your best answer, I'm going to question it. Like, I'm going to give me some results. Tell me. Like, what's your best squat? What's your bench press? What's your best deadlift? What was it a year ago? Are you making gains? Like, I want to know facts. I don't care if you like it or not. I happen to like conjugate, but I've bent conjugate to what I needed and it's given me results, and everybody I work with gets results. That's just just the way it is. But that's the one benefit to having a coach is that I don't give a shit how you feel. Probably one of my biggest struggles as a coach is learning that some people need a little more encouragement than other people. When I'm pretty straightforward about it, and my team was always pretty straightforward about it. There was no, hey, rah, rah, good lift. There was like, yeah, you got the lift, but you know what? This sucked and this sucked and this sucked, and you need to fix it. Because all we cared about was everybody doing the best they could do and getting better. And we cared about them. We cared about them in a different way. I didn't care about if they were happy every second in the gym. I cared that they went to the meet and they put up huge numbers and they hit big PRs, because that makes you happy. Like, that's something to be proud of. Like, those days are worth all those days in the gym, no matter how hard they are. So I'm not saying don't pay attention to your feelings, because feelings are very powerful. And if you learn to use them correctly, they can be amazing. But in the gym, in your training, it's facts. It's not emotions. Do you know, I mean, it was hard for me to go from what I had always done to training conjugate. It was hard for me to give up quad squatting to become more of a posterior chain squatter. But I knew where I wanted to be. And I wasn't going to let my emotions get in the way of where I wanted to be. Those emotions would hold, and then they'll come back 100-fold, hitting world records, hitting big lifts. You know, I've done things in powerlifting that I'm going to look back and smile about on my deathbed, which hopefully will be a long way away. Yeah, I think that's about all I got on that one. Just start. I mean, I want to say this multiple ways because I want to get through to everybody. It doesn't matter if you like it. It doesn't matter if it feels comfortable. It doesn't matter what you've always done. The odds are, and these are very big odds, you've been doing it wrong. And when you change to doing it right, it's not going to feel good. But you have to stick with it. And if it doesn't happen immediately, if it doesn't happen a week down the road, if it doesn't happen a month down the road, you've got to ignore your emotions and go back to your logic. Before my first Elite FTS seminar, I squatted 545, Olympic style, ass to the floor for 5 sets of 5. That was a regular thing for me. When I got done with Dave's seminar and got back to the gym, I couldn't squat 135 right. I started with an empty bar my first day because my posterior chain was so weak and I was so quad dominant. I stuck with that. I think it was 6 months or a little over 6 months, and then I think that's when I hit my first 700 squat. Maybe it was 6 months till I broke my previous, and within 8 I hit 7. Do you know the mental games that your mind and emotions will play with you, going from handling 550 pounds easy to not struggling with less than 135? That's a serious, an emotional kick in the freaking face. But I didn't let my emotions control me. I went, this is it. I did the research. I trusted it. I know the guys that are using this. I know the records. I know the totals. I know the PRs that all came from this style of training. The best in the world of so many weight classes are now training with this style or some form of this style. So I sucked it up, kept in my mind, in my logic, instead of my emotions and my heart. And it paid off. And it has. I've told plenty of stories of gaining partners who I had to completely either beg or trick to start up my team and force them to stay with it, and it paid off in the end. So listen to Thomas Sowell. Listen to Ben Shapiro. These are super intelligent guys. what's going to work in life, and what they do is also going to transfer into powerlifting. Just because other people do it doesn't mean it's right. All innovations in this world were done by somebody who came up with something new, something different. Do you want to be the guy that stays doing the old stuff and never makes any progress? Or do you want to be the guy on the cutting edge that trains the newer styles, that takes the advice from the best of the best? If you want to be one of the best in the world, Joe Schmo in your local gym isn't going to be able to help you get there because he's never been there. If I want to climb a mountain, hell, if I want to go halfway up that mountain and I see somebody coming down from that mountain, I'm going to go, hey, how'd you get up there? What's the best way to get up there? They've been there. They know the path. And they know if there's a better path most of the time because they saw the other path when they got up there, or they came down the better path. Trust the people that been there. Damn, I love lifting. All right, guys. Hope you're having a good evening, good day, good whatever when you're watching this video. I hope your training's going awesome. Keep this stuff in mind. Let it sink in there. Come back and watch this video multiple times. There's a lot of videos I've done that with in the past. Courage Barbell. Have the courage to use your logic and your mind and not follow your emotions. Here at Courage Barbell, we don't work out, we train. I'm out.